John, I'm taking the liberty to introduce you in a few words.
Thank you.
Uh, John left a lucrative banking career to pursue his passion in education. He found his passion in providing quality English language education and started his concern, the English Advantage, in Mumbai. John is a C2 qualified English language expert, and he has a thorough understanding of different Cambridge English exams. That's why we have him today to speak about Cambridge English assessment. John, thank you very much for joining us. Okay, would you like to start by telling us about the English Advantage that you run?
Thank you, Jins. Thank you for that I feel humbled for that introduction. Yes, so apart from having a C2 qualification, I've also gone and completed my diploma in TESOL. I have an LTCL from the Trinity College London. That has enabled me to bring to the table what the English Advantage really wants to do. So the English Advantage is an organization that started way back in 2004, but went on to become an authorized center of the Cambridge English assessment in the UK. So like the British Council and the Cambridge University Press, the English Advantage, which is my organization, is also an authorized center for Cambridge English exams here in India. Which means if you want to take any exam, any proficiency exam in English from Cambridge, you could register and take the exam. The good thing about us is that we also train candidates to take these exams. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. John, my next question is about Cambridge English assessment. Is it run by the Cambridge University is it accepted worldwide? Could you in brief tell us about the Cambridge English assessment in general?
The Cambridge English assessment is run by the University of Cambridge and is the same thing as you would say Cambridge University, right? It is called Cambridge Assessment English because under the Cambridge umbrella, you have the languages which is run by Cambridge Assessment English. You have the IGCSE and the IB schools. That's another branch of Cambridge where you have the schools and all, where you learn English as a subject. Now we are talking about English as a language. And so when your question was, what about Cambridge English and whether it is accepted worldwide? That was your question, right?
Okay.
Well, the Cambridge Assessment English is where we assess candidates who come to take the English exams for their proficiency levels. Now, the proficiency, when I say it is measured from A level, from the A1 levels right up to the C2 level. So, what is this A1 to the C2? It is mapped on the CEFR. So, the Council of Europe, with the help of Cambridge, has designed a benchmarking system for the proficiency levels, starting at the A1 levels, going right up to the C2 levels, which is the highest qualification. Okay. So this means that the A1 or the pre-A1 can be taken by young learners as old as 5 years. Okay. So we start the journey in learning English as a language right from that age. So we're looking at all the 4 skills: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So when you take a proficiency exam, you're assessed and measured for your proficiency in all these 4 skills separately, which means you take a reading, writing, and a listening paper. The listening paper is where you listen to an audio script where you will have conversations or dialogues between people. You listen for information, draw meaning, inference, and find the answers and write out the answers. The speaking exam is conducted separately by Cambridge Assessment English examiners. These examiners are qualified examiners who are trained and certified to examine candidates for their speaking ability and then marked, and all these marks are collated. So you get the overall score and separate scores for each skill that you take. Okay, so I started by saying it is right from the A1 level to the C2 levels. So the C1, C2, the B2, C1, C2 are usually taken by candidates who are just out of school and getting into college or at the workplace. So it could be the upper intermediate and the advanced levels. Whereas the young learners who are at school probably will take the young learners and the intermediate level, right?
Yeah. Right. John, could you please name some of these exams, like which exam is offered at what level?
Yes. So we start with the starters, movers and flyers. These are the young learners, YLE, young learners. So this is the A1 and pre-A2 level. So you have
Right.
the starters, movers and flyers. So students who are in our Indian schools who are up to grade 4 or 5, that is standards 4 and 5, would take the starters, movers and flyers. After
Okay.
that, you have the key English test. So that is the A2 and the preliminary English test, the
Okay.
B1, the
Okay.
B1 exams. So you have the A2, and these exams are exams for schools and the general exams. So it could be taken by students who are at schools or by people who speak English. Now, when I say general English, what I mean is it could be an adult who has just learnt English. So I have a grandfather, who is a Gujarati person. He speaks to his grandchildren in the US.
Okay.
What happens for him is he has all through his life spoken in Gujarati. English was never his medium of instruction. So for him, even though he's 74 years old, he is a starter in English. So he would take the general English. And so it is not age related actually.
Okay.
It is dependent on the proficiency. So your next question, I think, would be then, John, how do you find out the proficiency? Well,
Yeah.
Cambridge has designed proficiency tests, which means you can run these tests at your centers, at your schools, at your institutions or organizations to determine the level of the proficiency of the candidate before asking the candidate to start preparing for that level. Which means
Okay.
you could have, so I have, let's say, a 7th grader who's taking an A1 exam, whereas a 4th grader who's taking an A2 exam, simply because their proficiencies are different. So they come from different backgrounds. So what we call in India, you'll find many candidates saying, I come from a vernacular school.
Right.
So the medium of instruction is not English there. It is the native tongue. Now, for that candidate who does not study in English at all through his study career, it will be difficult for him to be speaking fluently in English even though he's in the 7th grade. That candidate might start at a lower level, that's at the A1 level. Whereas students who go to an English medium school would start at a higher level. So that, how to determine? There are proficiency tests that are run by Cambridge where you can determine the level. Yes,
Right.
what's your next question?
Yeah, John, I have students who take English proficiency exams like IELTS, etc. Okay, so do you think taking a Cambridge English exam can do the same work for the student to when he applies to a university?
Yes. A very good question, actually. This is what most candidates ask me. So first, let me tell you what IELTS is and what the Cambridge English exams are. Now, the IELTS, for you to understand, is also a Cambridge English exam.
Okay.
IELTS is also run by Cambridge, and
Oh,
all these
really?
other proficiency exams that I just mentioned, starting from young starters, movers, flyers, going right up to C1 advanced and C2 proficiency. All
Okay.
these exams are also run by Cambridge. What is the
Okay.
difference? You'd want to know the difference now. Having understood that both are run by Cambridge, then what is the difference? Why an IELTS exam and why a proficiency exam? The IELTS exam is a score, a band score that you get for taking a proficiency in English test.
Okay.
These exams are primarily for seeking admissions into foreign countries. They test your proficiency and give you a band score. So
Right.
the band score is measured right on a scale of 10. So you could get a 7, 7.5, or 6.5 in each, and an overall score. Okay. This band score is valid for 2 years. Which
Okay.
means after 2 years, the score becomes invalid and you have to retake an exam if you want to prove your proficiency again.
Okay.
So having understood what the IELTS is, let me talk about the Cambridge English Proficiency exams, which is what we are discussing right now. Now, these exams that I'm saying, the A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, are all qualifications. So when you take an IELTS, you just get a band score. It's not a qualification. These
Okay.
are qualifications, which means that you're already taking an international qualification while you are studying or working.
Okay.
These qualifications can be included in your biodata or your resume that you write under educational qualifications. So when you write your educational qualifications, you can also include that I'm B1 proficient in of the CEFR, Cambridge University, UK, which is a foreign qualification. So this qualification, An added advantage is that it is valid for a lifetime. So
Okay.
while the IELTS score is valid for 2 years, these qualifications markings are valid for a lifetime. So you have a qualification unlike the IELTS.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. You answered that question in very detail. Right.
Thank you.
Uh,
I'm
right.
sure your next question would be, John, do universities accept this? Because I just said that it is for IELTS is for accept for seeking admission into a foreign country.
Exactly. I have that question here.
Well, uh, yes. To begin, these qualifications are accepted. So let's say there's a student who has finished his undergrad year in India and is
Yeah.
seeking admission in New Zealand, Australia, Canada, in one of the foreign countries. Okay.
Okay.
If you go to the university's website, you will see that where they are asking for an English proficiency, it will be IELTS oblique CAE or FCE, that is the first certificate in English, which is the B2 proficiency. So you can take either, which means these qualifications are also accepted instead of the IELTS exam. Now, there are some universities like in Canada or in the US which say, no, we want only the IELTS. Then the candidate might have to take the IELTS exam also. But that's again only to get admission. But having this qualification test qualifies or says, proves that this candidate has a proficiency, because this is completely in detail that you do it. You're not only studying to take an exam, you're studying to improve your general proficiency in English, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
having a proficiency like this will matter. Yes, it is accepted in more than 163 countries in the world. Now you'll ask me, which are those 163 countries, which are the universities? Well, it's a long, long list. I have a thick book of around 200 pages of universities, country-wise and region-wise, that accept this. So you
Okay.
could go to the Cambridge English website, that is www.cambridgeenglish.org. I'll repeat that, www.cambridgeenglish.org, and look for information, more information on which universities accept this as a qualification to come to study in their country.
Okay. Well, John, you spoke about how useful the Cambridge English is for students who want to study in other countries.
Yeah.
What about when it comes to employment? What is your take on it?
Good. I was anticipating that question. Uh, Thank you for the question. Yes, it is also something that most organizations, not only abroad but also in India, have started. So I could name a few Indian organizations like HDFC, Smith Kline, Glaxo. Then you have Johnson and Johnson. These are firms. Also your Vijay Mallya's airline, which was that the Kingfisher. They at that time, Indigo. These are airlines who are also looking for proficiency in English. And if you have a Cambridge English qualification, they welcome you with open arms. It is like a gateway to getting into their organizations. Even uh, budding institutions and organizations which have just come into existence have realized the potential and the value of these certifications. So when you have these qualifications, it means that this candidate has a proficiency and can speak English well. So they want candidates with proficiencies in English. So when I've been using this word proficiency, what exactly do I mean when I say proficiency? It means this person is able to understand, is able to draw meaning, is able to converse, is able to handle situations, which is what we are all looking in our day-to-day world. At the end of the day, however qualified you are, if you can't be a people's person, I think that is a big setback in somebody's career. And to overtide that setback, I think the best thing to do would be to become proficient and up to date in the language. Yeah. So there are organizations here in India and abroad that look for qualifications in English with proficiencies set out by Cambridge in order to make them employable.
Okay.
Yeah.
John, one more question. Like there are business English exams that Cambridge conducts, the BEC exams. Could you please throw some light onto those as well?
So until now, we've been talking general English proficiency. We
Yeah.
also have the business English proficiency. So it's the same on the same CEFR, starts at the B1, B2, C1. So you have three levels of the business English. It is the business preliminary, the business vantage, and the business higher. B2, B1, B2, C1. So you're going as high as the C1. Now these exams are taken by students in colleges, mostly engineering colleges who um, want to improve their proficiency in English. So I, after these number of years, 20 years of having been in the English industry, teaching English, I have come across a number of candidates here in India who I must say by far are technically the best qualified in the world.
Right.
I think the very fact that you have people at the senior most level at Google and Microsoft who are from India stand to prove my statement right. There are candidates in colleges where I visit who are, like I said, technically very qualified, but when it comes to presenting themselves, they take a step back because they find themselves falling short for being able to explain what they want to say. So these are candidates who would look for these exams. And why business English exams? Because they're getting into the business world. So what are these business English exams? It is the same proficiency levels like the general English, but here we are looking in the with a business background. So these candidates are also trained on how to handle business meetings, how to talk at meetings, how to make presentations, how to read graphs, how to prepare slides and all that. And when they're reading these slides, how to present it to their clients, to their own organizations, to people, how to become team players. Now, who takes these exams? I said candidates at colleges. So I was fortunate to be in a college last year in Hyderabad, um, where there were these campus interviews going on, and BPO was employing candidates that day, was interviewing candidates. Surprisingly, three of the candidates that they picked up on that day, all three had the business English certification, and they were very happy. Today, that college has made it mandatory for all candidates to take the business English exams. Similarly, you have colleges in Pune, you have colleges in Bangalore, and colleges in where you go down south, so in Kerala and in Tamil Nadu, where it is mandatory for candidates to take the business English exams. So these business English exams are taken by candidates who are looking to pursue a career in the marketing world, in the business world, or maybe become engineers, even doctors. Yeah.
Yeah, John, I must say you have contagious energy. My God, the way you speak, it's amazing. If time permits,
Thanks.
one day we should speak about people skills, which you mentioned, a little while earlier. Yeah,
Mhm.
like you are a person with whom we must continue speaking. Yeah, lot of input, a lot of
Very
input.
happy to come back on board and be with you again.
Uh, Thank you very much, John. Have a nice day.
Thank you. And yes, before I sign off, the CEFR, like I said, if you Google the CEFR, there's a nice video clip that you can also see. It will give you a very detailed idea of what the CEFR benchmarking is all about. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you
Yeah.
very much. It was a pleasure talking to you. I look forward to associating with you and your organization very soon again. Thank you. God
Thank
bless.
you.
Bye bye.